Hi, welcome back to the Free Swatches channel. So this is episode 8 in the series of turning £100 into a Rolex, and we're going quite well. If you watched the last video, you'll know that I bought a very rusty Omega dress watch, which I then restored, and the watch sold last weekend for £510 on eBay. And this is quite a result because this is only the second watch that we've had in the series. The first watch was the Tissot, which I bought for £80, and the second watch was the Omega, which I only bought for £110. I had to put a lot of work into that, as you probably saw in the last couple of videos, but the end result has been really good. We made a really attractive watch, and it sold for a good sum of money. After the eBay fees, that's left me with £440, and over the last week I've been looking for another watch to buy in the hope that we can find something that will be interesting to make a video about, but also is going to hopefully move us on in this challenge to actually increase the funds in the pot to get towards buying a Rolex watch. So what I bought, I'm going to show you in a moment because it's arrived. It's an Omega watch, and it contains what I consider to be Omega's finest movement. This was really a motivating factor for me because I really like the idea of featuring this movement on the channel and showing you what I regard to be Omega's best movement, and it'd be a great one to take it apart and explain to you why I think it's so good. There is another advantage to the watch, but what I'll do is talk a little bit more detail about that when we unbox the watch, because I've got it over on the bench. So we'll go over to the bench now. Let's get the packet open together and see what I've bought. Okay, here we are over at the bench, and I've got the parcel here, so we're just going to get straight on with this, and let's get in and see what we've got. Okay, here we go. Look at that. So this is it. Okay, so a nice, looks like a pen box or something. They've wrapped it up in, and some this very thin paper. Okay, and here we are. So this is what I call an Omega 30mm. This is it's called a 30mm because the movement is 30mm in diameter. It's Omega's what I consider to be their finest movement. Their first itineration of it was called the 30T2. They then changed the name to 260, and this should be a 265, this one. The reason I bought this watch is because, as you can probably see, it is in need of restoration. I'm excited about the fact I've got a 30mm movement to repair, but I'm not sure about the condition of the dial and the case and so on, so we'll have a look at that now and see what we've got. When I bought it, the photographs on the dial were showing some marks, and I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to sell it with a watch with an attractive pattern to the dial, or whether the dial was going to be too bad. So I'm going to have a closer look at that now and see what I think of it. But initial reaction to this, it's exactly what I was expecting it to be. It's an Omega watch that needs a fair bit of work. The case is certainly looking a bit sorry for itself. I mean, there's no dents or anything, but it's certainly got quite a lot of surface scratches. We've got a non-Omega crown, which obviously I think is a shame on a watch that should have an Omega logo. The crystal is scratched, or it does look like it's the right one, so that's good. And the dial, I'm feeling a little bit disappointed now because it does look a bit like we're going to have to have that restored. What I'll do, I think we'll just change lenses on the camera, and then we'll get a bit closer, and then I can show you in a bit more detail exactly what I'm going to have to do to this watch, and also show you the movement as well. Okay, so we've got the macro lens on now, and you'll be able to see if I do that the dial is in a bit of a state. So what I'm going to do now is to take the bezel off and take the case back off, and we'll have a closer look and see what we've got here. The watch is just going to disappear for a moment, just while I unclip the bezel. It's one of the disadvantages of the macro lens, of course. Right, here we go. Right, so there's our bezel. And here is the watch with the bezel removed. Right, so having a close look at this dial, what I can see, we've got all these spots on there which I thought were going to be quite attractive, and the spots aren't too bad, but there's an area on the dial that I think really tips the balance in terms of whether we can leave the dial as it is or get it restored. And there's a mark just at 1 o'clock, so I'm just going to move the hands out of the way just so we can have a closer look at that. There we go. Right, so now you can see the mark just to the right of the Omega logo. It's quite bad. It's like I always think that if the marks are natural and it's just the aging of the material, sometimes they can look attractive, and that's often what makes vintage watches appealing. But in this instance, that's more like a man-made mark. It looks like someone's tried to clean the dial up and had a fairly big failure there, because they really made a mess of it. And so now I'm going to have the dial restored. But while we're on the subject, let's have a quick discussion about this watch. So this is an Omega 30mm, and it's in a 9-carat gold Denison English case. And the thing that I really liked about these watches, because I've worked on quite a few of them over the years, the thing that I like is the quality of them. You'll see on the dial the way that the battens are applied. They're really nice quality, substantial battens. You've got a batten for the Omega logo as well. The hands are gold, so I'll be able to polish those and to improve those, and the subdial hand is really quite elegant as well. They really are nice watches, these. So I'm just going to take the case back off, and I'll show you the inside of the case back and the movement as well. Okay, so here's the inside of the case back. What you'll see in here, there's the in letters ALD at the bottom, and it says Denison at the top. Denison were England's best case maker in the later half of the 20th century, and what used to happen, Omega would send their movements over to the UK separately with no cases, and they would have the watch cased in Britain by Denison, and that way they would avoid the taxes associated with importing gold. And this is a 9-carat gold case. So this watch, although it has a Swiss movement, it is an English case. So I think of these watches as being quite English in the sense that obviously the case was made here and the watch was assembled, and the final assembly was done here prior to sale. You can also see the nice engine turning in the case back and the hallmark for the 9-carat gold. The one thing that I've really noticed about Denison cases that I like is just the sheer thickness of them. They will never shine using a nice amount of gold for their cases. I'll also just move this back over here so you can have a look. You'll see that the case is substantial, and they do tend to wear very well. But admittedly, this is in a fairly, pre-restored condition, so it will look a lot better when it's done. But as you can see, it's a significant amount of gold used, so they are very nice quality cases. So here's the movement. This is the Omega's 30mm movement. This is the 265. The great thing about the 265, if you look at the balance clock, that's the part up here at 12 o'clock, the balance has actually got an interlock setting on it. So this particular design allows for shock protection of the balance wheel, and as soon as they added that feature to this movement, it really became, because the 260 didn't have it, as soon as they added it for this, it became really what I regard as Omega's finest movement. The reason I think of it in these terms is simply because of the size of the components. The movement is 30mm in diameter, which in itself isn't huge, but what you're getting are really solidly made components. When I strip this watch down in the next video, you'll be able to see, I'll do a comparison between these parts and the parts that you get on a modern mechanical movement, and you'll see the difference. These really were built to last. They're, in my opinion, some of the finest mass-produced movements ever made, and this is an opinion that's shared by a lot of watchmakers. The Omega 30mm range really are good. So what you can see here, you can see obviously we've got the barrel bridge, we've got the train bridge, we have the balance cock here. You'll see that the design of the movement is very organic. The way that the three parts interact with each other is very attractive, and there are no real sharp edges. Everything flows nicely in terms of design, and they're always a pleasure to look at and a pleasure to work on. So I'm really looking forward to working on this movement and to getting this watch restored. Not just because I enjoyed the process, but also because I think the end result here is really going to be quite a special watch. It's going to be Omega's finest movement in one of the best cases that we made in the UK in the late part of the 20th century. Thanks very much for watching the video to the end, and I hope that was interesting to see the watch that I bought, and I hope you all agree that it's a good decision. I know I've paid quite a bit of money for this watch, but as I've mentioned, I do really believe that this is a really good quality Omega watch. It's their best movement, it's in a really good case, it's in a British case, which means quite a bit to me, and I know it does to a lot of collectors. So I'm going to be able to hopefully make this watch into something that's quite special. Admittedly, I'm going to have to restore the dial, and that's something I was hoping I wouldn't have to do, but I have to accept that for what it is, it's certainly worth the investment to hopefully come out with something that's really going to look great and is really going to be desirable in a sales situation, which obviously we're working towards. I just wanted to thank everyone for watching the video so far. Our last video in this series was the first video that we had that reached 1,000 views within 1 week. It's quite a milestone for us. We're really pleased with the way it's going, and we're really grateful for everyone who watches the videos, for everyone who comments, and for all the new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe bell and the notification bell, and then that way you'll be notified when we make another video, which should hopefully be either next Friday or the one after. We always try and get them out on a Friday. And then hopefully you'll be able to carry on following us through this journey, which I'm really enjoying, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get up to, with the watches that we're going to be buying in the future, simply because it is getting a bit more interesting now in terms of the amount of money I have to spend on new watches. Hopefully once this watch is all finished and is all looking good, then I'll be looking again, and so it carries on, and hopefully I'm going to be able to bring lots of new and interesting watches to the channel to restore, and we'll hopefully make some great videos. So thanks again, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye for now.